news will shock you to the core.
Finally, another podcast about
Godzilla!
and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, Chris Cicchini and Chris Casares.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast. From Moto Island. And welcome to the podcast from Moto Island. I am Smooth Chris, and with me as always is an effervescent Slick Chris.
Hello, how do you do? It's a doozy this week, so
Yeah, the fun never stops, and Slick Chris never sleeps. There's so much to talk about, and so many things we can't talk about. Like the time I used to pay common folk to mean me, tell me I was bad at reading the news. That time I had that job up in Utica.
that's some good references. So just start things off on a nice positive note because it's
It's all downhill from here.
There's going to be a barrage of negativity on this podcast.
So
just a barrage.
So in case you for some reason didn't get the title of this episode, it's Kong Christmas, and we watched Peter Jackson's King Kong. Chris and I, we saw that in the movie theater, almost the day it came out, I'm guessing.
Probably, at least probably.
I remember
weekend.
it being a packed theater, and
Yep.
being like, "Hell yeah, man! The Lord of the Rings were awesome." King Kong was my favorite movie growing up as a kid. I used to have the 60th anniversary VHS where Kong roared on it, and it was a big part of my youth. I went to the Confrontation. I have the photo of that still from when I was like 10.
The what? The Confrontation
at Universal Studios in Orlando.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I've been there too.
Yep. So Kong was a big part of my youth. So I'm just gonna tell you. I told you this the other night. My whole game plan was to watch this, thinking that I was going to like it this time, and you were still gonna hate it. So I was just gonna talk about all its positive attributes and stuff, and sort of put it over while you just hated on it. That was sort of my whole approach for this episode, and well. That kind of went up in smoke.
Let me put a quick disclaimer on this. If you like this movie, you think it's great, think it's awesome, that's
keep liking it.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and everything that is going to come next is all in good fun. But oh man, do I hate this movie! Oh, so let's go back to that. Let's go back to that movie theater in 2005 that you referenced there as a packed house. So, have you ever walked out of a movie before for it being bad?
No, but I have come close. There were times when I wanted to. One More Man 2, I distinctly remember wanting to walk out of the movie theater during.
I have only left Wild Wild West. That classic Will Smith vehicle.
Fair.
I walked out of that movie with the people I was with for how bad it was. This one, I remember it was so bad at some point. Well, actually, I know which point, because we will talk about it when we get there. And I still remember getting up, going, I was like, I have to get out. I have to leave. And I walked halfway up the aisle, and I go, I'm here with 10 of my friends. What am I doing? And I just went and I sat back down. But it's like it just, the reaction just got me.
Yeah, I remember watching you do that and kind of thinking, same.
I just remember going, yeah, so 2005. How old were we in 2005? We probably just turned
21.
We're right around 21. Yeah, we both turned 21. Our birthdays are 10 days, 13 days apart. But yeah, so knowing me at 21, I was probably filled with Mike's Hard Lemonades going into it. because I hadn't quite found the taste for beer yet. And
I don't know. I think you were sober, Chris, at this point.
yeah, I didn't drink a lot back then. I didn't.
You
drink
held
a lot
out
back
for
then.
a long time.
Yeah, yeah. You know, it was make up for it now. Sip a White Claw for the working man.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my Andes Mint, which is chocolate milk, Kahlua, and peppermint schnapps.
Right. So I guess to set the table here, we did a. We can't even talk about this movie sober. Like we did a little remote watch along last weekend.
It was
Me,
very
you, and a friend.
It was very
joined.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring-esque, where friends have to band together to make it through this long, arduous journey.
Boy, we got tanked doing our little virtual watch along, and we're setting the table here now for this too.
I told you earlier today before we shoveled, because today was a big snowstorm. I was like, I don't think I can sit through this episode sober. I was like, I'm going to start drinking before we record, and then by the time we record, I'll be in a good space to where I can talk about this and actually tolerate it. Because man, watching this, there were several times when you were just sitting there calmly watching the movie and just okay, yep. And I was sitting there going, I hate this movie so much more than you do.
It's actually fitting that we're recording this today. The day that we're recording is actually the anniversary of the 1970s King Kong movie that came out.
Yeah,
was that 76 or 77 when that movie came out?
Also, this movie came out it was the anniversary. It was the 15-year anniversary, a couple days ago.
Yeah, everything came out in December. It's if you turn if you went on Twitter right now, it was every day someone was like, "Oh, it's the anniversary of this Godzilla movie coming out," which is all well and good. But I'm just yes, at some point, all the Godzilla movies started coming out in December. So
plus,
maybe we can just roll them all into one.
Some people just like going to the movies on Christmas. It's a family thing that they do. Not mine, but some people, I've heard some people like to do that. So this was supposed to be the big holiday movie, and it really was too. There was tons of promotion going into this, and it was gonna be the biggest movie that winter, at least. It was probably
I was excited for it when it was coming out.
Oh,
I thought it was gonna just be amazing.
I thought Lord of the Rings were great. Big fan of those. The director's doing this. He's done good movies in the past. It's a home run. This is AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania. It's what could possibly go wrong?
Right. So, let's just get into it, right? So, we can do the OIWS stuff afterwards, because we'll need a nice positive come down after.
We'll just get this stuff out of the way first.
So, Peter Jackson just has said, especially around the time, all the interviews he was doing. I mean, he was trying to make King Kong for a long time. You can. I think you looked more into that than me, but I remember he was always doing interviews and press around this time, saying just how King Kong is his favorite movie, and he was just dying to do this remake. So
he did Frighteners in 96, 97. And he said that he kept all the computers from that movie, and what they did was they were set to make King Kong, but for whatever reason the movie fell through, so they kept all these computers around, and they're let's do Lord of the Rings then. So who's got the rights to that? So they wound up keeping the computers from Frighteners and building this program to make the orcs and elves and dwarves and humans fight differently, and they just pretty much made the movie battle scenes on those old mid late 90s computers. And then that's pretty much what got Peter Jackson to superstardom fame. Is he was well known, but not nearly in the realm of some of the people who from the 90s you might remember, Joel Schumacher or any of the big name directors of that time. But he became that after the Lord of the Rings, because that swept the the Oscars that year for like almost every award they were nominated for. They won.
Yep. So that meant this movie had to be
It-
3+ hours long.
I mean, like, how could you go? Like, how could you go wrong? Like, this director who just completely like swept the Oscars is going to direct the King Kong movie. Like let's fucking do
Right.
it. And
Right. And he claims, and I do believe him, maybe it is truly his favorite movie. So he looked at King Kong and he said, when I remake this, you know what this movie needs that the original didn't have?
exposition.
It needs exposition for a bunch of characters that are then going to be wiped away about 20 minutes later, and you'll never think about them ever
No,
again.
just think about this.
It needs.
If you had exposition, you could do away with the entire first fucking hour of the movie and condense that into 15, 20 minutes, which is what that should have been. Like, there is no reason that first hour is an hour long.
Oh yeah, he's like, hey, you know what this movie needs? They need like an hour on the boat. That's what they need.
So,
And then, you know what, when they get then we need to rip off Apocalypse Now for a little bit when they first meet the natives. We need to do that.
ugh, the dude.
And then we need T-Rexes swinging on vines. And then we need a big dinosaur stampede that only the characters with plot armor can survive. And then it goes on, and and you know what the first Kong movie didn't have? You know what it didn't have? Smooth.
Mm.
It didn't have enough of Kong and Darrow being in love. Just didn't have enough. It had too much Darrow screaming because she's being held like prisoner. She has been kidnapped by a giant, terrifying island monster that, yes, she feels sympathy for, but she doesn't have enough love, romantic feelings for Kong. So we gotta really, because that's how a normal person would react in that scenario. You have been kidnapped by this giant island god, and what do? You just think he's just the warmest, fuzziest puppy on the planet. Oh, that's what this movie needed. But I digress.
I say exposition. You don't need to go into the background of every character that's on the ship, especially when a lot of them didn't survive the spider pit.
Yes.
Which I know there's. I know you hate this movie, but I thought the inclusion of the spider pit scene was great and much needed to spice up this movie.
Agreed.
To take something from the original that was cut and put it into this, I thought that was really great. And also Andy Serkis being what's his face there? What's the character's name? Scruffy, you know.
Lumpy?
Thank you.
Lumpy,
yeah.
you mean?
I thought that was good too, because like he's always in the Peter Jackson movies, but he's not really in them. You know, like you never see his face. That was the first time he got to be like Andy Serkis in a movie. So
yeah, you know, there you go. Here are two positives. You hit the two positives, I will say. The return of the spider pit sequence, although it does lead to a super ridiculous part where I think it's like the young boy character. He has like a Tommy gun down there,
but they're smart
and when, like, all
bullets.
these like little spiders. Yeah, he's like this gun that was used by mobsters in the 30s because it was pretty much just like point and spray, is now apparently able, one in the hands of some young boy on a ship. He apparently has pinpoint accuracy with this notoriously inaccurate gun to knock off all these little tiny creepy crawler things off the main characters in the movie.
Also, those bullets
Fucking
were smart
ridiculous.
enough to not like go through those bugs. They just like stayed inside of them. Like those bugs
That's right.
those bullets would rip right through those insects, like in their super thin exoskeletons, and they would fucking go through that spider and hit what was ever behind it, which was that fucking guy, you know?
Yes. So, but as an idea, I love the resurrection of the spider pit sequence, and Lumpy is kind of like the cook character of the boat, or was he a cook, or was he just kind of
He looked
purpose?
like the guy who would be the cook.
but either way, he was a character that was like in the original novelization of King Kong that was cut from the movie in 1933. So I thought that was like a nice little. Someone had done their own work.
Like you can definitely
like,
tell that everyone who made this movie like knew the original and like they did love it. It's just that what they created was just this very long, drawn out, like I don't know, man. Like the Lord of the Rings movies are 3 hours long because there's so much to like go through and like shit happens and there's battles, you know. And it's really like an RPG, like. It's basically Final Fantasy IV as a movie, but it's 3 movies. Like as a comparison, like, and I love those movies. So geared up for this, I was watching all those, and I was like, oh man, these movies are so fucking good. Like, there's so many like good just moments between characters, and everything looks good, and yeah, it's a fun movie. Like, the pacing is very good for a 3-hour movie. But for this, it's really like 3 acts. It's like you're on the boat, and then you're on the island, and then you're in New York. And it's really like an hour. Like,
yeah.
Like, I get the hour on the island. That's fine. That's probably the easiest part of the movie to get through, despite the fact that there are T-Rexes swinging from vines, which you didn't need that whole scene. All you needed was, hey, in the original, the Kong fought 1 T-Rex and he beat him. All you needed was 3 T-Rexes to show up in that end fight scene where it's Kong's got her in his hand and he's like keeping her away from the biting mouths and stuff. Like, that was fun. It was a good scene. I have no complaints from that fight scene. The vine part was stupid, but I'll take it as long as like that part would be better if we didn't just sit through 70 minutes of not seeing Kong.
Well, I just like how like when they're swinging on the vines, like apparently there is no food is so scarce on Skull Island that these T-Rexes that even when who have just short little stubby arms as they are hanging and swinging on vines. Their primary focus is still to eat Ann Darrow, who is like basically the equivalent of a Fig Newton to them in size, and probably how much it would be filling to them, rather than focus on their balance and not like plunging to their death as they swing on vines or fighting with Kong. It's just really quite comical to me. But I want to say like one thing about the exposition, because this part like really like kind of like it almost like a South Park skit. Like when who plays Carl Denham? It's
Jack Black,
not Carl Denham.
Adrian Brody,
Driscoll.
Adrian
Brody, and like so he's like sitting down. Like they don't have because they're a wacky bunch of circumstances caused by Jack Black. Like Adrian Brody is stuck on the boat. They don't have room for him, so they put him down like in like the belly of the boat where basically all the animals are like cooped up, and it's like one of the ship hands comes down and says like he catches like the young boy trying to steal a pen from Adrian Brody, and
So yeah, like that kid, like that was what I was talking about. Like this movie needing some exposition is like everything that happens in the boat, like you don't need. You can just cut it. Like you literally can just cut it. Like maybe a scene where like the girl and the guy are walking in the hallway and they get sort of like the passing glances at each other and they're like, oh, maybe there's something there, blah blah blah. Maybe you keep that one in, but everything else. Like, you don't need to know that this guy found the kid, and you don't need to see
right.
the kid stealing a pen, and you don't need to see the kid reading a book, and you don't need to know anything about any of these people because none of them reached the final act. So what do we care? Like, what do we care about these people? Like, there's no reason to delve into their personal history and create some, like, some like weird like history between the two. You just say like, yeah, I found him as an orphan. I've been looking after him ever since. Okay, you're done. That's it.
Now
That's all you need.
let me ask you a question. How long do you think they're on that boat for, like in real time? Like in the world of the movie? Months, probably, right?
Okay.
Or what do you think?
So
Probably months, right?
they're leaving New York, correct? We can agree
Yes,
that they're leaving New York.
yes.
So where'd they wind up? They were going for Singapore, correct?
Well, that was the lie, but yes.
So they wind up in the Pacific, correct?
Correct. Or I believe so.
Okay,
Anyway,
this is the 1930s. I'm assuming the Panama Canal exists.
Okay, yes.
So without the Panama Canal, they're going to have to sail all the way from North America past South America and around South America into the Pacific. With the Panama Canal, they could basically slide through between North and South America, but they still get a sail or boat from New York Harbor to the Pacific. So there's no way it doesn't take, like, this is the 1930s, like a month at least to get to the Panama Canal, maybe a couple weeks. So from there, they're going to the Pacific, which is the biggest ocean in the world. So maybe give it another 2 months there. Month.
Yeah.
So bare minimum, you're looking at 2 months with the assistance of the Panama Canal. Without the Panama Canal, you're looking at like 4 or 5 months minimum.
Okay. So, with that in mind, let's say they're spending 4 months on this boat, right? So, you know who else doesn't care about these characters on the boat? Ann Darrow doesn't care about these characters in the boat. And let me tell you why. So, again, this gets back to, when Ann Darrow and Kong are together, it's like this very weird, uncomfortable, like romantic type vibe that is there. Like, again, Kong can be a character for empathy, but like Ann Darrow does not actually have to have romantic feelings for him. But anyway, so as like we get to the part of the movie where they're drugging Kong with ether to knock him out, take him back to New York, like through that process and the the spider pit sequence, like Kong basically kills a significant chunk of the crew that Ann Darrow just spent 6 months with. She does not give a shit about one of their deaths in the least. Also, neither do Jack Black or any of the main characters. They don't give a shit about any of their crewmates' deaths that they just spent 6 months on the boat, and we just spent an hour that felt like 6 months on that boat watching this movie. So, if none of the plot armor characters or main characters give a shit about those people, why should we? Because she is not, like, when Kong is drugged and knocked out, she is so, like, upset and feeling for him. Like, he literally bites a crew member in half in front of them. Like right before that happens. So if they don't care about them, why should we care about them?
I'm glad you're talking about the ether scene, because there was, like, everyone's on the boat trying to get back to the ship, but there's one guy standing on the rocks to the side with just his rifle with him. And, like, he's not on the boat. He's not trying to get back with them. He's just standing there in the rocks with his gun. And what does he do? Is he running? He just starts firing. Like, what the fuck was your plan, dude? Did you think this was going to work? Like, clearly this was not thought through at all, but he takes his fucking gun, he starts shooting at Kong, who immediately looks at him and kills him within a second. Like, the bullets
Right.
did nothing to him. Oh, God. Like, I was watching that just being like, what the fuck was your plan? Like, what were you, like, why weren't you on the boat with them trying to leave? What were you doing on those rocks? Why did you think your gun was gonna, like, help you in this situation? It clearly didn't. Like, oh, God, some of the Oh, I hate this movie so much.
It's
The
there.
characters-
It's there for bloated spectacle. That's what
Yeah.
it's there for. And
Well,
it's but
Well, God, it's so angering to watch someone do something so stupid, so blazingly stupid. Like, and that was the end of the act too. Like that. Like this is after he saw everyone else dying. Like, and
Right.
and they
Right.
didn't do anything to try to like kill Kong. They just ran away.
So then they get to New York, right? And this is where I feel like the way I'm setting this up, I almost feel like we're listening to like Jim Cornette's podcast. Brian, then they get to New York, and then the worst.
Oh, Jim, I
See?
hated this.
Then the worst scene in this whole outlaw mud show of a movie. This outlaw picture show that wouldn't even be caught filming in a Prohibition era Nickelodeon. It wouldn't even be worth the nickel in a Prohibition era Nickelodeon.
You're so right, Jim, and nobody in this movie should have ever worked ever again. It's just complete garbage, and you're so right.
What do we get? What do we get when they get to getting back to my regular voice? What do we get when they get to New York?
Oh,
We get probably the most. This is we get the scene that caused me back in that movie theater in 2005. Took me right back to that place mentally. Is the scene that made me get up, walk halfway up the aisle, go, wait, you're here with people. You got to turn around and go back. But mentally, I walked out of that movie theater in 2005 when the scene of Kong, after he has just rampaged through Times Square in parts of New York, probably killed dozens of people, which again, nobody gives a shit about because this movie. He finally comes across Anne in Central Park, and they find a little frozen pond in Central Park, and they do a little cutesy Kong slides on his butt. Like they're on a very romantic date in Central Park, and Kong, after just murdering God knows how many innocent people, it's just that little cutesy scene where he just slides across the ice on his butt. Oh, it's so funny. Oh,
this movie, the scene.
Oh, I
was
hate
just-
this movie.
The scene was just the worst. It was a bad idea then. It was a worse idea now. You don't need like a more than friends relationship between Kong and Anne. What you need is giant monster, frightened woman, and her man is trying to save her. Like that worked. You don't need to really stray too far from that. That's basically, and it does kind of happen that way in this. But Anne has this way too much in the Kong pile to where it's really like a love triangle. It's not even like a rescue story. It's like if Bowser kidnapped Princess Peach and Mario went to rescue her, and Princess Peach was kind of like, but Bowser's kind of cool. I don't know. Like it's not. No, it's not how it should go. But yeah, they're Kong's just spinning on his butt on the ice, and every tree in Central Park is lit up during the Great Depression. and you getting up and wanting to go during the scene and is me going, oh yeah, I made it this far. I'm gonna tough it out. But that scene, like it makes the boat stuff seem good.
I also like too how like when Kong is like running through the city and they bring out the military who have like now as far as we could tell we were like rewatching this like they have not issued like some widespread evacuation order because the way to get a hold of people in the 30s you didn't really have like everybody's cell phones numbers like floating around you can send a mass text to or an alert to like 1930s everybody probably doesn't even have a phone. Or I should say, most people probably don't have a phone. So anyway, Kong is just like running through the city. They bring the military. As far as we can tell, no buildings have been evacuated. So what do? They fire missiles at Kong, which they just love showing, blowing up these like buildings as like collateral damage. Like, again, now probably killing dozens of random civilians. But hey, everything in 2005. Was just a big CGI spectacle. So hey, we let's just throw that in there. Let's not worry too much about that.
God, Like, man, like this movie just, I wanted to like it so bad. That's the thing. That's what hurts the most. Is like everything about it was set up for me to like it. And I just
Yeah.
I just don't.
Oh, also,
I don't like
also, Kong stands upright. He doesn't run around like a gorilla. He stands upright. That's like what makes Kong like unique as a quote unquote kaiju character. That he doesn't take the posture of like just a regular animal that has been blown up to giant size. He has the unique trait that he stands upright.
I understand. I think that's more of a nitpick than something that I'm
going to nitpick the shit out of this movie if I want to.
I think I said this the other night. The only thing, like, that's the one thing you said you don't like about this that I'm really just could do with or without. Like, I thought for the most part, Kong looked great. And for the most part, the special effects look great. But there are scenes that are just awful. And like the stampede scene for one, really everything looks fake. It looks like none of the dinosaurs are actually there. There's no weight to them. Like there's no density to them or anything like that. It just seems like they're superimposed in, and the entire scene is so farcical anyway. Like everyone's running through their legs and successfully so, unless they're like a jobber guy, then a red shirt. Then they're
red shirt. But somebody gets to one of those like little like whatever they like. This is like quasi velociraptors or whatever they are. Like somebody gets to like dropkick one like in the face like during that stampede scene. Just just to give you a little chuckle while you're watching this ridiculousness. But well,
like
beauty killed the beast indeed.
Right, and they kept that from the original, which is fine. And I'm glad they kept it in the '98 Godzilla movie too.
It's Gojira, you morons! That's one of my favorite lines from Godzilla '98.
Harry Shearer saying Godzilla. That was.
Well, do we have anything else to beat this movie up on?
I feel like I had more, but I'm just so let down by the fact that I couldn't really like talk about this movie's like strengths more, like some of like the scenery, like I mentioned the set pieces. That's what we could talk about for a second. Like everything, like the boat set looked good, the island set looked good. New York City was recreated really well. Everything like had the trademark touch of a Peter Jackson epic movie, but like this movie really didn't need to be an epic movie. They could have really shrunk it down, and it would have been a lot better for it. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Like I said, we were watching it. Like if you were playing the 1933 Kong at the same time as you started this movie, you could watch the 1933 Kong 2 1/4 times that the length of this movie is.
Yeah,
but
yeah, like Kong doesn't show up till 70 minutes in, and even still, you only see like his hand and like a silhouette of him, and like through smoke and stuff. You don't really actually see him. You don't get a good look at him till like 85, 90 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
And from that point forward, he's pretty much on screen a decent amount of time, and you do see him enough. But really, like, you take that first 70 minutes and you turn that into 25 minutes, and you might have something with this movie, Like, you shave off the Central Park scene. He finds Anne in Central Park, and she's, like, petrified, She's not like, oh, it's you, There's a very, like, I've been looking for you, Kong, kind of like meeting between them, and then the end of the movie, like, you could keep the same.
it's completely fine to be sympathetic towards Kong. Like, you should be sympathetic towards Kong. He's taken out of his environment. He's put in this like alien situation to him, like, and he's just kind of like lashing out. But like at the end of the day, he has still kidnapped an innocent person, and that person, while they can be sympathetic to him, like does not have to like have like weird romantic, like there's no way around it. There's like weird romantic undertones to this movie. Like,
can we just call it Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah, like that. I mean, like she's basically Patty Hearst. Like at the end of this movie, like it's just that characterization between the two is just so off. Like that's just what it is. Like, I don't know, but I'll end on a positive note of something I did like about the movie. I liked the sinister boat captain. He's so sinister. He's
definitely
like,
not the first guy he's killed.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, he shoots a bunch of islanders, and I remember even saying when we were watching it, I was like, oh yeah, not the first guy I killed, but maybe the first guy he's killed with a firearm instead of his bare hand. Like he's so like unnecessarily sinister, like through every scene in the movie. Like he's having like what should be like just blasé dialogue with somebody, and like everything has like an evil tinge to it. And I was like, oh, this guy's fucked up. Kind of like it. Like, give me like an offshoot about his adventures. I don't remember if he dies in the Spider Pit sequence or not, but
no, he comes to save her. He comes to save everybody. Yeah, he
yeah,
survived.
That's right.
He survives, but he's not part of Act 3.
Gotcha. Yes, right. Yes. Okay.
But
well.
So what did you think of Jack Black in this movie?
Oh, I fucking hate Jack Black. So, like I don't know. Jack Black is whatever, but like it's just so over the top and just so hokey. Like the way like he plays like Denim, like the movie Charlton. You know what I mean? Like the snake oil salesman. It's like it's so hammy. Like, now I don't know if that's Jack Black or Peter Jackson, but I get it. He was like one of the big guys in 2005. Gotta slip him in.
I thought he was okay in the character, but like the character was just so like unaware of what a scumbag he is. It seemed like.
Yeah.
Like he's a super scumbag, and I think deep down he knows he's a scumbag, but I just think he's like doesn't get how big of a scumbag he actually is.
Yeah, it's just again, it's like everything with this movie. It's like Carl Denham is supposed to be like a kind of a sleazy guy, but like he's not like an irredeemable sleazy guy, and like, but this movie just kind of doesn't do. This movie doesn't do nuance, right? Like everybody is like. Everybody in this movie is like the one note like whatever the big character trait they had in 1933, that's turned up to 11 in this movie. And so this is like, oh, Carl Denham's sleazy, so he's just going to be really fucking sleazy,
And
like no redeemable traits.
I mentioned that he was basically just Paul Heyman. He was just like the sleazy guy who could like manipulate his way around to get by. That seemed like a very close comparison.
I will say though, I don't think he's as good of a talker as the 1933 Carl Denham. I think he's a much better talker in that movie.
That's fine, but Tom Hanks' kid is in this movie, and his job is basically to look at Jack Black be sleazy and be disappointed by it. Like
I don't know what else Tom Hanks' kid has done, so maybe he peaked with this movie.
He was also in one of the seasons of Dexter. He was part of the heel contingent with Edward James Olmos.
I didn't watch Dexter, so I missed that.
That's fine. But like he was like his character really served no purpose than to look at Jack Black when he said like, "We'll donate the proceeds to his family," and when he says that about the second guy who died, like. Tom Hanks' kid just looks at him and goes like, "Oh," like that's when he realizes that this guy's all talk and like these people's families not getting anything.
Yeah, Yeah.
Like that's his only job, is to be there and convey that message, which we fucking get. You know?
Well, I think we beat this movie up enough.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I just needed to get my frustrations out on it. Like, I've never had a forum to really talk about it. And, like, I really, really thought after not watching it for as long as we have, like, I saw it in the movie theaters and maybe saw, like, the Skull Island parts a few times in between. But really, this is the first time I sat and watched the entire movie beginning to end since that movie theater. And god damn it, did it piss me off.
I mean,
I really thought I was going to like it. I really did. Ugh.
So, well, you know, let's get this out of the way really quick. If, as we've been doing, if this movie was a wrestler, what wrestler would it be?
I get the perfect wrestler for it. The Great Khali.
See, I almost said the Great Khali as well, but there's like something about the Great Khali that like I find kind of charming and endearing. And I do not find anything charming and endearing about this movie, so I probably would say Tank Abbott.
Fair. I just say the Great Khali because it's big and long, but there's nothing there.
So we do have a 5-star ranking system. It almost feels silly to even explain, like. It almost feels like, you know, a little silly to even say that like it is possible that this movie could obtain some other ranking other than 1 star. But, you know, just know if a movie is a main eventer, it is 5 stars. If it is a 1-star movie, it is a jobber in wrestling terms. And you know, I will not break our scale and be like the anti-Meltzer. Like, you know, where Meltzer breaks his own scale and gives things 6 stars, even though it's only supposed to go up to 5 stars. I will not break our scale and give a 0 star. But I'll just say it is the lowest 1 star that I could possibly give. I don't think any movie will fall below this movie to me. Ever.
1 star. I mean, there's no other score I can give it, and I like Peter Jackson. I want to convey that message. Like, love the Lord of the Rings movies. I even kind of like the Hobbit movies. They're fine. Bloated to all hell, but fine. Like, all the stuff that happens in the Hobbit happens in the movies. It just takes a really long time to get there, and a lot of it you can cut out. So similar to King Kong is the Hobbit, but this is like I would give the Hobbit like 3 stars, and I give this 1. This is just...
Well, you know, the good news is that for every Kong Christmas after this, we will do nothing but movies that are better than this. Even King Kong Lives is probably better than this, although maybe I should bite my tongue because I haven't actually seen King Kong Live. But
I do have one question for you, and maybe this is an entire podcast subject in the future. What do you like more, Godzilla 98 or King Kong?
Oh, Godzilla 98. Yeah. Godzilla 98. They're like this. Peter Jackson's King Kong is as bottom of the barrel as it gets, but I also am not part of the Godzilla 98 is like I'm not part of the it's good if you just don't call it Godzilla camp, because I do, like I've said before, like I think there's some I just when I think of why I don't like that movie, it's made in a mean-spirited way, right? It's, making Mir, I'll always use the example, making Mir Ebert, because Roger Ebert gave some of your other films bad reviews, and I think Roger Ebert was either just recovering or dealing with colon cancer at the same time. I don't know. That's a movie coming from a petty place and a mean-spirited place, and I don't quite enjoy it. But hey, I love Godzilla the series. It's animated sequel. That's fantastic.
Godzilla 98 is coming from a very mean-spirited place, and King Kong is coming from this place place of deep like affection and admiration, and we like the shitty one more, you know. Well, I like it that way too, so it's kind of entertaining for me. Hey, Chris. I'm also Chris, but you already knew that. You get any figs?
Not figs, but nope. I did get one fig, but multiple purchases. Did you get any?
I did.
Or who wants to start? Do you want to start, or do you want me to start?
Yeah, I haven't gone in a couple weeks, a couple episodes, because I've been slacking and not really putting my best foot forward on acquiring Godzilla things. But I went ahead and, on your instruction, the day after we last recorded the this podcast, I went to Walmart and got myself a Skullcrawler figure from the old Playmates, and so first thing I noticed is the jaw. It opens, it shuts, but then, oh my god, look at that! It's at a 90-degree angle. It's at a 90-degree angle. It opens way too far. I don't know if that's supposed to do that or not. If I just got like a weird broken one, but I got a Skullcrawler with a retractable jaw. But also, the eyes. The eyes in this are painted about 5 or 6 millimeters past where they should be. Like, there's the indentation.
Oh, no. That, like, so there's, like the little cavity, like, where you think the eyes should be?
Yes.
Like, they are actually behind. They're actually supposed to be behind those cavities.
They are. Why?
Yes. I don't know. They just thought it looked cool. Just like when they named them Skullcrawlers, they thought it sounded cool.
Well, that's John C. Reilly. We'll get into that. It doesn't look cool. At least not on this figure. I legit thought that I got like a fucked up one, but it's
no. They are. That is an issue with the actual design.
Okay. Well.
Now, but speaking of
in that case, like I think this figure's all right. Then the jaw opens way too much, but like overall, like it represents it pretty accurately. It's got that weird like sanded down look, like everything's like flat and matte and like not overly detailed looking, you know, that distinguished Playmate Godzilla figure look. I'd say it's got that in spades. But overall, solid effort. Good $10.
Now with your jaw, with the jaw on yours, so on mine, if you were looking like above the Skullcrawler and like you close the jaw, like the lower jaw doesn't line up perfectly with the upper jaw. So like when the mouth is closed, like it kind of like sticks out like at an angle a little bit. But you only really notice it if you're looking at it from like above. Does yours have that? Like the jaws aren't centered basically on mine.
No, they look pretty centered to me.
Okay, mine has a little bit of a little side bite going on, but
yeah,
if you just keep the jaw open a little bit,
we talked
it kind of goes away.
When we got the Godzilla figures, I think my gray one had a weird slack jaw look, and your gray one had the regular look, and my beam one was regular, and your beam had the slack jaw look. It's weird that Playmates has that.
Yeah, but overall, like you said, I thought the figure's fine. You know, I think the Skullcrawler is not the most toyetic creature, but I do like there's like a couple points of articulation, like on the arm/legs, whatever they are. All it has is just legs or whatever's going on. But I don't like. I mean, the Playmates Kong figure itself for the Godzilla vs. Kong line is like. That's legitimately a really good figure.
Agreed.
And I actually kind of like the Final Wars Godzilla that like has taken the place of Shin Godzilla like in that line. It's still like a little goofy looking, but I don't know. Maybe Playmates is turning the corner.
Maybe that vinyl turn will be what they need. But yeah, I'd say overall this is a fine toy for a young lad who wants to have something for Godzilla and Kong to beat up on.
Yeah.
This is definitely
Yeah.
like the toy that gets beat up. Like that's what it is.
Right. I wonder if this is like, like how like in are you familiar with like Star Wars figure collecting, and I think like in Ninja Turtles collecting, like there's the concept of like army building, where it's like you buy multiples of like the stormtrooper character or the foot soldier, like for your display purposes. Like, I don't know, maybe the Skullcrawler is to be the army collector figure of the Playmates line, but I don't see myself buying multiple Skullcrawlers.
No, like I'm fine with the one. I don't play with toys; they're just a display. I said I don't play with them.
Well, good. That was a good purchase to come back with.
Yeah. I say I don't play with them when I do a fig photography steel cage match.
That's how adults play with toys. That's what we do, and it's totally fine, and it's totally cool, and it's totally acceptable.
I thought I booked a hell of a match.
You did. Big spot fest in that steel cage match.
I had to cut stuff out. I had more, but I cut stuff out. See, Peter Jackson. See, it can be done.
that was a good callback. Very good callback right there.
But what did you get besides this magnificent Anguirus shirt that you're
oh, right. So there was a recent collaboration between Toho and Amazon where you can get these like, I don't know. I can't really tell the difference between these items and like, just kind of bootleg merchandise you can find on Amazon. But either way, there's some official Toho licensed apparel on Amazon with a variety of designs. But I got myself, because I'm an Anguirus boy, I got myself a very nifty Anguirus t-shirt that is Anguirus from How We Looked in Godzilla vs. Gigan. You get to, when you choose the Anguirus design, you get to choose a variety of shirt colors. I went with olive. Okay. Olive is what I went with.
That's good.
Pretty much all my shirts are black. So I figured I needed a little bit of color, but not too much color, so I went with olive.
No, Anguirus has like an olive, a forest green olive look to him anyway, so...
Yeah, it matches well. Home and Garden magazine would be proud of me and what I did. So I got that. I'm going to build this up almost like a main event type thing. So second purchase of the last 2 weeks, the bag clips have returned.
Oh,
when I say they have returned, I mean, what I mean is the only hole in my bag clip collection is when Godzilla 2014 came out. There was when Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, that was the initial bag clip line, but it was kind of under the radar. So you got a Godzilla, 2 King Ghidorahs, a Rodan, a Monarch Soldier, a Mothra egg. Wait, I might actually be combining the lines. I think this could actually... There was a 2014 bag clip line, and then there was a King of the Monsters line. But either way, so I'm trying to complete that first line. And I'm only missing... Like, those are actually kind of hard to come by, but I was able to get the Rodan from that line. So that was exciting. So the bag clip collection continues. There's like 3 more pieces that are eluding me. But... fortunately, this podcast has not caused the prices of those things to go up, and they're still dirt cheap. I just need them to appear on eBay or Mercari or anywhere. But so that was fun to add another bag clip to the collection. But probably the big purchase got, so a couple weeks ago I said, or a couple episodes ago I said, I got Godzilla Unleashed for the PS2, which I never had before. And it's quite broken. But apparently I had sold the Wii version of that game years ago. I don't remember doing it. I can't find it. I just assume I must have. I gave away like my Wii and some Wii games I had, and I think that was part of it. And I'm actually a little surprised I gave it away. I didn't think I did. But either way, I rebought Godzilla Unleashed for the Wii. And did you play the Wii version of Godzilla
I
Unleashed?
probably played it for like 5 seconds with you. I don't remember it.
Yeah. So you know what? I thought it was okay. So at the time that it came out, I was like, okay, it was awful, right? Like it, I think Godzilla Saves the Earth and Godzilla Destroy Monsters Melee, like those are really fun fighting games.
Agreed.
Like they control really well. Like,
I only have Melee,
that's-
but I can attest that for me, like I've seen like the newer PS4 game and everything. Like I still go back to Melee and say that's sort of the best one.
Oh, absolutely. Well, so Melee and Saves the Earth, like they are very, very similar. Like Saves the Earth just has like an expanded roster, but essentially it doesn't function any different than Destroy All Monsters Melee.
Sure.
Like it's those are two very fun games, very, very similar. Just again, one has a little bit of a bigger roster. So then like Godzilla Unleashed comes out, and it's like you have all these like weird Wii motion controls, like and it's just like the combat's like not as tight. It's like even more like arcadey and loose. And so I think like at the time, like going like from Godzilla Saves the Earth to that, I was like, oh, this sucks. This isn't fun. But like having like about 15 years away from it and like replaying it, I was like, all right, still not like those, but like still like actually a lot of fun. Like some of the characters are like totally have moves that are just like makes completely overpowered. Like I beat the entire game being Varan and like spamming like one attack over and over and over again, and I was like, this is so ridiculous but so fun at the same time. So it's I don't know. It's in 2020 it's not as bad as it used to be. It's like stupid fun. Definitely not as good as the other two games, but it's different, and it's like you pick it up and it's like it's a little bit more like arcadey and just I don't know, ridiculous. It's so hokey. It has like this like really bizarre story of like the Vortak aliens are like invading Earth. Crystals are popping up everywhere, but there's like 4 factions, and like when you do levels, it's like every different monster belongs to a faction, and like you gain and lose like allies based on who you attack in those levels. Like you don't even have to beat the monsters to like clear most levels. Like there's like usually some other objective, but like
destroy the
whoever you
reactor.
piss off along the way. it's like stuff like that. It really is. Like it's like crystals and stuff, but not that it like ultimately really changes anything, but like I don't know. It's definitely not great, but like the roster's huge. It's huge. It's got like everybody in it. Like my boy Varan gets to be in it. So there you go. Varan was the savior of the Earth in my first playthrough back with that game. So I don't know. That was my purchases. I have another one that will actually be a funny one, but it didn't come in time because we got 16 inches of snow today.
Yeah.
So
Boy,
so mail's a little delayed today.
it's a good thing I've been having a couple of drinks with you tonight because my back is killing me. Oh man, just shoveling all that crap out. Like I hate it. If Snow were a wrestler, it'd be Marco Stunt.
But I guess like while on topic of figures, we did this last year.
Yeah.
What was your? Let's do our end of the year favorite purchases.
So, for me, it's every NECA figure I bought in 2020, which is like probably
can't pick one.
Probably 15 of them, I'd say. 2020 wasn't a great year for anybody, particularly not fun for me, but the NECA figures were the highlight for me. Like, I just, I go to Target, it's right down the street from my house, I grab some Chipotle, and I pick up a Godzilla figure, and that made the crappy days not so crappy, you know what I mean? Made everything good.
Yeah.
And when I was watching some Twin Peaks earlier in the year, Dale Cooper reminded me, he's like, the key to happiness is just give yourself a little present every day. And just like, it could be It could be a
Yeah.
5-minute nap. It could be a cup of coffee. And that's what I thought of the NECA figures this year was that they were my little presents that made me feel like, everything's going to be good, So, all of them. Every
Well-
NECA figure that I
Well,
bought this year.
that's a really nice message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's supposed to be positive and uplifting and optimistic and hopeful for the future, which is why with me saying it, it sounds so fucking fake and forced. But no, I mean, what about you? As I chug
Well, I achieved a lifelong goal of now. Granted, it's not 100% complete. It's about 85. No, I'd say even actually probably 90% complete. But I was able to finally get the Godzilla versus Tricephalon playset. The only thing I'm missing is a couple cars, and I need a couple of pieces for the battleship. But but still, I've been wanting that playset for years. I've been searching for it for years. Even though it's not 100% complete, I'm glad I got it. I feel like I can complete it. There's oftentimes it sits right behind me in the office that I work out of, and we record in, and where all my Godzilla stuff is. And sometimes I just come here in the morning and I sit down and look at it and go, "I got you son of a bitch," and it's a good feeling. I'm also glad I got
Chief
what I got
Brilliant.
for about yeah. I'm also glad that I got it for the price I did, because one just went on eBay. Now, granted, it was complete in box. The box was open, but the everything else was sealed. But one just went on eBay this week for $1,400, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
$1,000 in your
glad
pocket.
I got it at the price that I got it at.
Yeah, for real.
But I also I also kind of want to reach out to that person who got it and go can we just talk to you in our podcast? Because I feel like we probably we both probably have a lot of strong feelings about this playset. So it's just as we will segue into the OIWF, all my figure photography now takes place on that playset.
Oh,
So,
yeah. You always have, that's, yeah.
Yes. I've actually, I don't know if you noticed, but I've actually decorated it with, I have a little, dollar
Bushes.
store, Christmas
Yeah.
tree that's, sitting on top of it right now. And these, little, I didn't buy it for this, but it was, my, whatever. We just happened to have a bunch of, little decorative toy bushes and trees sitting around the house, and I've put those around the playset, so it's it's becoming a experience, that playset.
Sure.
So
I will just add one more thing. I think for 2021 it sucks, but I think I might want to complete at least the retail NECA figures. Maybe skip the reactor one. But get the 54 Godzilla, the Shin Godzilla version 1, no beam, and then the 2 Mothra figures. Those are the only ones I don't have. I have all the others. So maybe if you're listening to this and you have them laying around, hit me up. I'm at BDF. I'm BDF Chris on Twitter.
Now, you count reissue variants as a separate figure, which really only applies to Godzilla 84 and 2014.
I was going to say 2014 because 2014 and 2019 are technically different figures, but for me, they're not different enough to justify it. So no, not for me. For my collection, I will just keep I have the boxed version of the 2019 King of the Monsters, gray gray one, or the black one, or whatever color you want to call it.
Right.
I do not. I don't count that as a different figure from the 2014 reissue in the box. If you catch my drift.
Gotcha.
They
So
are
I
listed.
think there's 3 variants of the 2014. I think there's 3 variants now.
Well,
of that.
there's the bubble case one. There's
Yeah.
the boxed one, and what would be the third one?
Yeah. And then there's the one that just the reissue of the 2014, which is the one that I just got.
No. That's what I'm saying. Like, what would be the third one?
Oh, wait. I think there's 2 bubble 2014 ones that are slightly different.
Okay. There's 2 bubble.
But I think one might have been an exclusive to something else.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's 2 bubble 54
so then,
figures too. One with a beam and one without one.
And I think they are slightly different.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah, I would also not chase variants. I don't need that in my life. I think
I would prefer box, but I will accept bubble. But if you have the 54 with the beam, with the beam, not without the beam, no beams, no energy. If you want no beam, send it to Slick Chris. Would you be serious?
Should have called me Sleepy Chris on that.
I would never. Such a fucking terrible insult. You know?
Yeah.
Just the worst. 54, Shin Godzilla, no beam, so just like the normal one. And the 2 Mothras. If you have leads on them, or if you have them and you're looking to get rid of them, hit me up. I'm at BDF Chris on Twitter.
It's funny. I think I'm actually missing. I don't. Well, you have all the legendary Godzilla figures. I only have the 2014 reissue. I don't have the poster one. I don't have the burning one. I don't have Godzilla vs. Destroya. I don't have the Biollante variant, although our local Target now has a bajillion of those in stock. You don't have the regular Shin Godzilla, and I don't have the beam Shin Godzilla.
The beam Shin Godzilla should be at Target. I saw a few of them there.
I'll have to look for that next time I go.
Because I was looking for the regular one, but
the Mothras are the ones that I really regret whiffing on.
Yeah,
or at least one of them. I don't know if I needed both, but
I mean, I want them both just to complete the collection. But I would like to. Are we?
There you go. You froze. So all it was I regret whiffing on the Mothra figures. Is I don't know if I needed both, but can you hear me now?
All right, I'm back. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, you froze, so I left. I came. Whatever. They'll need a little massaging. So okay. So I regret whiffing on the Mothra figures. I don't know if I needed both, but I kind of wish I got one now at this point.
I wish I got both of them.
And yeah, I like the poster one. Looks really cool, but
I want both.
Oh,
I want both just for the completion part of it. But I did see both Mothras in stores at various times, and I passed on them both times. I didn't really like them.
Yeah, I didn't either, but now it's they're gone. So I'm shit.
I didn't really like them in the box, and I was just they're kind of awkward, and the Rodan figure I have is super awkward with how you place them and stuff. I have the Viserion McFarlane Toys Game of Thrones figure, and that figure just sits on a post, and it's so much better than the Rodan NECA thing.
Yes, yeah.
It's straight for one.
Now, do you have any outside of completing the NECA collection? Do you have any collecting goals for 2021?
I mean, at this point, it's just I'm gonna just have to keep my ear to the ground on the Playmates figures, and we'll see. Like honestly, like I would like to get like a really good King Ghidorah figure. And like I do really want.
You know what?
That,
actually, I don't think there's a lot of really good
Arts
ones. You know what? I think like, granted, I don't have it, but I don't. I mean, to me, like, there's not a lot of great King Ghidorah figures. Like, I think at least like for like the size and range like that we're talking about. Like, there's a SH Monster Arts bootleg that is pretty famous or infamous on eBay. That like it's of like the Showa era King Ghidorah, and like that actually looks like the best King Ghidorah figure. I feel like that you can get for like less than $100 or around $100.
Yeah.
But like nobody knows if it's like if it was like a canceled SH Monster Arts figure and like the mold was like stolen or what. But it's like it's one of the only Monster Arts bootlegs like that I know of that's like widely available. So but other than that, like I actually kind of think the Trendmasters King Ghidorah figures are some of the best King Ghidorah figures.
I'd have to look into
it's like I don't think any of the Bandai ones are too good. And, yeah, I don't know. It's just weird. It's like I just feel like there's not a ton of great King Ghidorah figures out there.
Yeah, it's very hard to do with the wings and everything. But I'm a sucker for Ghidorah. Mecha King Ghidorah is my main in Melee, so I've always had a fondness for that. But I kind of feel like maybe I scratched that itch with the Dandai, you know?
Well, there's great like statue figures. Like there's a ton of great X Plus King Ghidorah figures, but those like are going to be like a premium price,
right? And,
you know,
and I'm not really a premium price guy because I'm looking at my wall and I'm like, yeah, I spent like $1,000 on that guitar. I spent a lot of money on that guitar. Yeah, I'm good. You know, like I'm kind of done spending like a lot of money on things. You know, like I like to keep it cheap.
Yeah. Hey. I don't know. I like I feel like for 2021, well I'm hoping I don't know if Singular Point is going to be good or not. I hope it's good. But either way, like a Singular Point could be like the most rotten thing ever, which I hope it's not. I hope it's fantastic. But I feel like based on those like character designs, like Bandai is probably going to be churning. Like I'm going to guess Bandai is probably going to be churning Singular Point figures out, and if nothing else, those designs are awesome looking, and I just cannot wait to snag whatever Singular Point figures start coming out next year. Hopefully there are some.
Yeah,
you know.
Let's hope that Bandai gets to put them out too. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's. I just can't imagine Bandai not having the rights to that. I just like it's just like Toho and Bandai have been doing business together since like the 80s. I just can't see that stopping now.
I remember,
you know, might have to import them, but
here's my relationship with Bandai. Like I came into this late in the game, and like maybe like midway through 2019, being like, yeah, I'll buy these Godzilla figures. They're pretty cheap at Walmart, and me being like, what do you think of this, Chris? I think this figure's all right. And you're like, oh, Bandai used to make so much better stuff than that. And I'm like, oh, I think this is good. Oh my god! So,
yeah,
you know, hopefully their stuff in the future can be good. And then Playmates took the license over and they sucked. And now I'm looking at Bandai. I'm like, no, Bandai were like the masters of those toys.
Yeah, and it's you know, like there were some. It's like they have like some like repaints that they did where they kind of like cut corners and kind of half like the molds have always been good, right? Like you're not getting these super articulated figures. The molds have always been good. It's just like in the modern, like last like dozen years or so, it's like sometimes they just like skimp on like paint job, right? And it's like you know, like I like a perfect example is like I have like a Godzilla, burning Godzilla from Godzilla versus Destroya, right? And it's like you know the mold is great, the orange and black everywhere is great, but it's like then they didn't paint the tail, like and the tail is like you know just tacked on from like a regular Godzilla 94 figure. So it's like you have these orange spines going all the way down to blue tail.
Yep.
You know, so it's like they do stuff like that, but it's like, oh my god, like the figures like in the 90s and 80s and 90s, like that are like 8 inches tall or whatever they are. I'm not the best with scale, but it's like they're so detailed, they're so incredible looking, and it's like they're just like that was like just everything I had growing up. And like when I think of like the epitome of like Godzilla figures, I think of like these Bandai figures from like the 90s, and they're just so amazing. And it's just now they're just they're a little bit less high end, but they still like, I mean, I don't know. I have like some like the Godzilla store exclusives that came out, like the Shin Godzilla, like with his like predator mouth open and like the heavy paint job. Like that figure's fucking incredible. Yep. I love that. That figure's great.
You got that at the Godzilla store, right?
Well, I imported it from the Godzilla store. Yeah. But that figure is that figure is fantastic, right? And
absolutely.
like regardless of what you think of the anime trilogy, like the Godzilla Earth, Godzilla Phileas figures, like those are great figures.
I will never say
King
anything
Ghidorah
bad
one,
about
which
how
is like a
Godzilla
flying banana
looks in those movies.
yes, but still, like as quality figures though, like they all look great, and the Godzilla store exclusives, I think they all look great. So it's sometimes they phone it in, sometimes they don't.
Hopefully, Bandai will. After experiencing the Playmates figures and like the Bandai figures before them, I'm definitely like, yeah. Hopefully Bandai has it and they can put out those figures, because I'm holding out hope that Singular Point will be, the Godzilla thing going forward.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Godzilla vs. Kong will actually come out someday. Maybe not. I don't know.
No, it's coming out May 21st. We'll it'll be here.
We'll see.
It's a year wait, but it'll be here.
I'll hold my breath.
I'm holding out hope for that. And I'm actually thinking it's going to be all right. It's going to be an okay movie.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's just funny. It's like I was like so hyped for that, and now it's like in my mind, like I am focused on like I'm like, oh my god, Singular Point's coming out in a couple months, and we're gonna get that before we get Godzilla vs. Kong, which is kind of wild. But I think, speaking of Bandai, the current Odo Island Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion is a Bandai figure. And that is Bandai Titanosaurus. And we found out this week on Twitter at Odo Island Pod who his challenger or challengers perhaps are going to be during the week of Christmas into New Year's.
It was a tie.
And we did. It sucks when it sucks being the odd person out in a triple threat match that ends in a tie. But nobody likes Imperial Godzilla apparently. So
fuck you.
But we had a tie between Imperial Godzilla was knocked to the floor, unconscious, and then
Imperial Godzilla was pinned by both Bandai King Ghidorah or Mecha King Ghidorah and Playmates Gigan. They did it Undertaker and Kang style on Stone Cold.
Oh, we're going with that spot. Okay. I was gonna go with the classic Final Wars Playmates Gigan, German suplexed Bandai Mecha King Ghidorah, but he was so tired he couldn't get his own shoulders up, and then like they both kind of pinned each other. And that sort of classic tie situation.
I like the idea of Gigan and Mecha King Ghidorah laying back to back on top of Imperial Godzilla.
Well, either way, they tied. So, as someone on Twitter pointed out, they said, "I smell a triple threat championship match."
Each one of them hooking one of the legs.
Yeah. So that is what it will be. Over this holiday break, the end of the year, beginning of 2021, it'll be bootleg Bandai Mecha King Ghidorah, Playmates Final Wars Gigan, challenging the OIWF heavyweight champion Bandai Titanosaurus.
Now, what happens if they tie again?
The champion retains. You know,
What happens?
because per our rules, to dethrone a champion, you need more than 60% of the vote.
What if the champion gets
Does
zero?
that work in a triple
What if
threat?
that's what I'm saying. So we are a triple threat here. What if same thing happens? The champ gets one vote or 10% of the vote, and then the other two challengers get 40% of the vote each. I would think getting 30% more of the vote than the champion got and not winning would be an insult.
Well, I guess we have a recount in Georgia, and then we just see where things lie. Well, I mean, well, I guess the champion does kind of lose their advantage in the triple
That's what
threat
I
match,
think
right?
too. Yeah, because they
Right,
in a real
so I
match they don't
guess,
have to be pinned or submitted to lose it.
True. In a one-on-one match, champion's advantage exists. But you could argue in a triple threat match, champion's at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
They don't even have to be pinned to lose the title. So yeah, it's just going to be majority. Whoever captures the most vote.
All right, you heard it here. I
Great-
agree to those terms.
Great, great EVP meeting.
Here.
The Booker men got together and worked that out.
Pencil. We also had our steel cage match with for the Mid Atlantic title take place, and
Oh yeah, nice little Thanksgiving bash. Right
what a
there.
hootenanny that was between
Yeah.
Kamada-kun and Godzilla Earth, and what an epic struggle. The bumps that were taken. Kamada-kun off the top of could have won. All he had to do was climb down. He would have retained. Jumped off the cage and missed Godzilla Earth, who was then hung upside down by his tail on the door as Kamada-kun slipped away with the championship.
Still a Mid-Atlantic champion. He's a fighting champion.
I will argue
we'll probably see him again early in the new year.
the greatest match in OIWF history.
I mean, certainly the biggest spot anyway. Certainly.
Well, that's all matches are, is spots.
That was a bit of a one-sided affair from a voting standpoint, but also speaking of one-sided affairs around Thanksgiving, Trendmasters of the Universe just reasserting their dominance here in the OIWF. They just crushed a random hodgepodge team that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head that consisted of Guron, a little Gashapon Guron figure, a Gashapon Varas figure, and I believe it was like a Gashapon Red King figure. So 2 Gamera enemies and an Ultraman enemy. And Trendmasters of the Universe, the OIWF Tag Team Champions, although competing in a 6-man tag, so the titles weren't on the line. Just making really short work of their competition. They're forced to be reckoned with here
They need
in
some
the
competition.
OIWF still.
There's a serious competition dirge in the old tag division right now. I think we need to shake things up around here. God damn it!
Yeah, we're gonna. They have just run roughshod over that division. We have put Mechagodzilla Bandai figures against them, crushed them. Put Gamera and somebody else against them, crushed them. Anybody we put against them gets crushed. Anger, single competition outside of winning the big one, crushes them.
I think maybe
I don't know.
I think maybe drastic measures need to be taken. I think we need to bring out some big guns on this. Really, really see where the pieces fall.
All right, we'll see. We will see.
But the last thing I want to mention is that I made a tweet about asking people what they thought of the old King Kong movie, and I don't know if you have the Twitter machine up and running. I do not, but I would like to mention our audience members who participated in that tweet, if you could.
Oh yes. Absolutely.
Because even
Hula Baloo.
even though it's an hour and a half into the episode, pretty much, and it's at the end, you're still getting your stuff in. I did say maybe, so I'm a man of my word.
Hula Baloo at Looster3, a regular commenter, voter, and follower of the podcast. You get a shout out, my friend. We recognize that you are a regular contributor to our old Twitter shenanigans, and we appreciate you.
Cheers, bud.
Peter Jackson's Kong is definitely ranked fourth out of all 4 Kong movies.
Agreed.
Side note, I just finished watching Kong 76, which I saw in theaters when I was 7. Sorry to give away your age. And as bad as it was definitely better than Peter Jackson's King Kong. Sir, I agree with you.
Agreed. Yep.
Because the one from the 70s has the dude, has the Big Lebowski. Immediately better.
Yeah, nothing he said was incorrect.
No, yeah, yep. 4th best of the 4 Kong origin movies.
Well, I think we'll probably call it a day there. It's been a good episode, I think. Met my expectations.
Yeah.
I got to get all my frustrations out on Peter Jackson's Kong.
Merry Christmas.
A movie made out of like a deep love and admiration for the movie, and I just fucking hate it. and I love almost all his other stuff, but I just hate that one, which he probably put the most of himself into. I'm not gonna lie.
Sometimes the blind squirrel finds a nut. Sometimes the blind squirrel falls off a tree branch, and that's what happened with this one.
Life is not fair. The world is a vampire. Billy Corgan was right. What do we got coming up for 2021, Chris?
Well, to start the new year, I think we had to do a good movie, and I'm just going to throw one out without too much prior discussion between the two of us.
I think we prior
just
discussed
hope you go
it,
along with it.
Yeah, I think we prior
Okay,
discussed
good,
it.
good.
But we were both in agreement that
we're going to cleanse the
cleanser.
palate.
Yeah.
We're going to cleanse the palate. It is like the ginger you get in your sushi, which is meant to be separately to cleanse your palate. We will be doing Godzilla vs. Biollante.
So looking. This is the one movie that I haven't watched in forever. I don't even know if I saw the whole thing, but I remember watching it a lot with you because we love the soundtrack.
Which has a little bit of crossover to another interest of ours, Dragon Quest.
But
at least did you know that the really awesome song from that movie is from the guy who did the music for Dragon Quest?
You had mentioned that to me before. But I've watched the shootout scene with you probably 5 times. Yeah, throughout the years.
All right, guys, it looks like we got some Godzilla cells. Here comes some disco rock guitar instrumental track from the guy who did the Dragon Quest music. And we may even be joined by a voice from the past, a voice from space, perhaps, if they're available. If not, then whatever. We'll get them in some other
A voice
episode.
I haven't heard since